I think when we talk about mental load, it's all just about sharing the weight of being a parent today. And that is what is currently falling heavy on one partner. So it's like as long as the weight of responsibility of life and child rearing and home management and relationship management is even, whoever does what, like however, I feel like that's the end goal.
Today, we are discussing something that's been really trending and we're seeing become a bigger conversation, and that is the mental load and sharing when it comes to parenting. In case you're not familiar with the mental load, it's sort of this idea of that invisible task list, right? All the invisible responsibilities and things that go on in parenting behind the scenes that sometimes just can't be measured. And something that people are starting to uncover and see that this mental load, this invisible task list, often falls on moms. So we're here to talk about that today.
It's a big one. it's
It's a big one. So quick check-in with both of you, Megan and Elena. What's like a small example of the mental load that you found yourself carrying this week?
Lunches for school. So we just started school a week and a half ago. And my husband is fantastic at helping, jumping in, making the lunches, that type of thing. And even sometimes like adding the things to the grocery list. However, the mental load thing that we're talking about here, I noticed in my daughter's daycare notes, she has thrown chicken on the floor the last 5 times I've sent that with her. And the mental load is me remembering that. So, like, seeing my husband make chicken 2 more days this week, I was like, I should just say, like, it's one of those things. It's like, I need to say out loud, she doesn't like it. She's not going to eat it. So then I'm going to worry about her not eating all day because of that. That's just like an example of like, it's just that extra echelon of remembering.
Yeah, 100%. And like noticing the detail and then doing something about it. Who's the family relying on that that's going to get done and happen? And I feel like in many cases, and I know we'll probably get into this in more detail, but where we struggle is the like, we all know I'm going to do it. Like, how did we even get here, right? Like, how did we get the, because it's like, if you're the handler, you'll just handle it. You are the multitasker. And like, anyway, I'm like, I can't even think of, I'm like trying to think of the one thing I did this week. And I'm like, it's just everything. We started school this week.
It's
And
everything.
the back to school shopping, it was, which from my husband's perspective, he's like, they don't need no clothes, which is like, maybe, but, or like, what's their shoe size? I saw the list coming in of needing an arts mock at school. And I ordered the school supplies ahead of time this summer to make sure it was like, it's not just like the first day of school's in the calendar. It's everything that got them there. It's getting them in the certain outfits in the morning and taking the photos and the coordinating play dates after school and then making sure they're signed up for everything. And the hot lunch email came in. It's like, sorry, I feel like I just said a lot. It's like,
It's just that like
It is a
extra
lot.
layer, like the extra layer that keeps everything tied together. That is what oftentimes moms are internalizing, and we're the ones that are like handling it all to where like all of the executional can happen, but that one top level has to be handled by, or we think it has to be handled by one person, and that's oftentimes the mom.
In my examples, it's just assumed that I'm the one who reads the emails because I do read the emails. We're still not in school yet. We're still in camp. Today was our last day of summer camp. And yesterday we had a storm and our summer camp closed. I was the one who saw the email. The email comes to me. I don't think it even comes to my husband. It's just that because I'm the one who signed him up for camp, my email is like, it's the default email. And I feel like it's the same thing with school now. You know, we started getting emails about school. We've started getting emails about like supplies and all that kind of stuff. And the email comes to me and I have to figure out what to do with that email. And I'm so used to it that I just do it. It's that idea, just having the 15 tabs open at once.
it's a project manager. I mean, that's how I always view it, is like, I am managing all this stuff at work, and then I'm also managing everything for our family. Like, it lives in here. And then I'm also the project manager of our home. And I don't even mean projects like renovating or something, which we've done. And I also project manage, but I know like the vents are due to get cleaned. And I don't know if something like goes wrong in the moment, my husband is on top of it. Right. But like,
Right.
if it's just the cyclical maintenance stuff, that's like it's the project manager. I'm the project manager with our families, with our friends, and our social calendar, for our kids' social calendar. Like, any of that stuff is happening and moving forward because I'm thinking about it, putting things into motion for it, or putting it in the calendar, tracking it. And I'm so excited to talk because like we have done a lot over the last since having kids to like make that more even. But it's still just, I view like mental load as like you are the project manager for it. You are making sure it's happening, getting done. If it's not getting done, you notice. You're
Yeah.
seeing the communications about it. Yeah, I don't know. It's exhausting. It's
It's
Well,
exhausting.
I love that you mentioned that you have sort of seen that shift to a more shared, and I don't want to take this time to be like, let me tell you what my husband does not do. What has worked for you in sort of shifting it to be a little bit more a shared ownership of this project management and a shared ownership of the mental load?
Yeah, so a big part of it is I'm I'm going to say I'm like wired this way, and some of it comes more naturally to me, not all of it. Like home ownership, I didn't know all the stuff that had to get done, and I'm like googling what's the yearly checklist we're supposed to be doing. But from the get-go, I would say from the minute our first son was born, even with feeding, and I was very aware. I was like, I work full time. I this cannot all be on me, the way I've seen so many moms have the weight of child rearing and childcare all on them. And I'm like, I will crumble immediately. Like, that's never going to work. And so like from the jump, I was like, okay, we're doing formula so that this is a shared responsibility, and I'm not doing every feeding and not sleeping because etc. That's not to say the things you have to do for your kids change over time. And it's a very frequent, a very frank and honest conversation about what's coming up, what's happening. I need you to take this over. And sometimes it's worked really well, sometimes it hasn't. It does definitely require giving up control in terms of, well, I would have planned the birthday party this way. And okay, we're not going to have the coordinating wrapping paper and candles. And it's like, so I have to release that. Like, if you want help and like that doesn't mean it's going to be done necessarily exactly how you would do it. Anyway, frequent conversations when it's still not working, making the list. These are the things I'm going to own and tackle. These are the things. Although at the same time, like it's very like who has time that day, like to do the thing. But yeah, we're getting better, I would say.
Where I've seen improvement is first start with me, and I have to recognize the signs that I am about to crash out. Like, I have learned over the last several years what are my telltale signs that I am getting resentful or something is just too much on my plate. And I think that's like, over time you start to learn your own tells. And so once I start to recognize like, oh, I've been really snippy about this, or like for me, I get snippy. Like that's the thing where I'm like, my fuse gets really short for things that don't really matter, but that's a tell. So then it's like a self-reflection moment, like, okay, I'm doing too much and I'm not communicating it to my husband so that we can share that. So the first thing is that for me is recognizing that. And the second thing, I saw this tip somewhere and it has worked for us over the last couple of years, but when there's a particular element to our life that I feel like I'm doing too much or I'm owning too much of the mental space, I write everything down associated for it. And I will put it on a sheet of paper on our kitchen island. And I'm like, I'll show my husband, I'll be like, we have to delegate. We have to separate this list out. But like the act of writing the list, I know in some circles that people can say like that's still owning the mental load. You still had to write the list. But at the end of the day, seeing it all on paper and then like showing my husband, like, I just want to be validated that that was a lot. And from here out, like, I don't expect it to be 50-50 anything. Like, there are seasons in our life where I'm going to pull more weight or he's going to pull more weight. But if we can see it on paper and then delegate best what we can per person, that seems to alleviate a lot for us too.
But what you just said was always my biggest pain point. And I know this comes up. I see this on Instagram all the time is like, sure, tell me what I can do. Sure. Or like, I'll help, tell me what I can do. And it's like, that is also the definition of the mental load. I'm
It is.
like, figure it out. Like I shouldn't have to tell you what to do. Like we are both the adults, we're both the parents, we're equal partners. Why do I know what needs to be done and you don't know it? And that right there is the difference between having the mental load because it's in here. Why isn't it in there for them? Like whoever that is, and not to say that's everybody, but like that is the definition of the mental load is I need you to see it also. And I'm
Yeah.
not talking about the over the top birthday details. I mean that our kids need to see friends from time to time and like they need a social life that they need activities or learning, even if it's one, like whatever it is, like what are they doing outside the home or after school or whatever? What's our childcare situation? What are we eating for dinner this week? When are we cleaning the house? When's all the laundry getting done? Like I should not be the only one thinking about that. And it's not like whenever I feel like it, whenever I realize it should happen, like we have such a busy life now that like you have to coordinate all these moving parts. That is, again, that's the mental load, is the like being
Yeah.
aware of all the things.
It's just knowing where all the moving parts are.
Right.
Because it's not that like there's a unwillingness to help in my case, or an unwillingness to
Right.
participate or share in the tasks. It's just that like it somehow over the years has happened that like everything is stored here. And I think I suffer from, similarly to you, Elena, that I want it done the way I want it done. So there is that element of giving up control and like
Yeah.
sharing and giving somebody else that space.
Oh my gosh. And yeah, I feel like the word delegating is exactly what we're talking about. You shouldn't have to delegate. But why is the mom in charge of delegating the house? It's like, why are we the CEO of the family? Like, why is it not co CEOs both delegating? And I don't even have to think about fall activities or this or meal plans or the other because he's the CEO of those parts of our life. And I know he's got it. And if he needs help, he'll tell me. And I'm gonna manage these things. Like I don't know how it should work, but
But I think that's kind of what we've come to. And you mentioned like we bought a home and he dealt with it, and that's his thing, and I don't know about it, and I know he's got it, and a lot of the things to do with the house I know he's got. When you start to feel like you both have your mental loads for each section of whatever you might have, I found that that makes me feel less resentful, because I, similar to you, Megan, one of my tells is I start to get snippy and I start to get frustrated and I'm just mad, and it doesn't feel good. But then, you don't feel validated that like nobody's seeing all of this that's happening with the 15 tabs that are constantly open in my head.
I
two and
have a hot take on this. And
let's hear it.
sometimes when I'm sitting in my room and I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing too much. Why do I have to do all?" Like we all have that moment, right? We're like, "Ugh." I sometimes bring myself back down to earth. I'm like, am I mad or frustrated with my scenario because I have too much of the mental load, or do I just not feel seen because of it? And if I'm being totally honest, and again, this is my hot take, at the end of the day, I think that I feel okay being the owner of a bunch of the mental load. And it's not possible to be the owner of all of it. That's not fair or possible. But I'm okay with being project manager for a lot of it as long as my partner, my husband, validates me and sees how much I'm doing. I think to me, it's that no one sees how I'm keeping all of the things moving.
That's
When
so
I
true.
do feel seen, I feel a little better about things. That doesn't alleviate the fact that does fall on women typically as a default, and that's not necessarily fair or right. When it comes to my day to day, that helps me when I just feel seen.
But I mean, devil's advocate, if it's truly seen, then that means they know all the things that went into it, starting with seeing the email, remembering it, coordinating with the other parents, putting it in the calendar, figuring out to make sure that they have the right uniform to wear to that. Like, that means they knew all that had to happen and they didn't do it.
But I don't think it feels like it has to be 50-50. I don't think you think that either, but I think oftentimes we're like, if you know that it took all of these activities to get this thing going, like for back to school, then why didn't you jump in?
Yeah.
I'm okay with doing a bunch of it because that was fit within my scope of my outfit in my life. Like
Yeah.
it was okay with my work schedule. It was okay with my mental capacity for all of this. My husband is in a period of his career where he is unavailable during the day. No,
Same.
he cannot pick kids up. He cannot answer the phone or do anything for us at home.
Yeah.
So a lot of that stuff that has to be done, I'm like, I am going to have to pick up some of his slack. Okay, flip the script here. I don't do anything with our yard. We live on almost 3 acres, and there's a lot of upkeep, and
Mhm.
I do not even think about the yard, but I know my husband does, and I know when there's something's like, the lawn's too long or there's weeds everywhere, it's not in my wheelhouse, and that's
Yeah.
off my mental load. I think it's not a fair split, and sometimes I know how much he has to do in the yard department, and I'm still like, "He better get that done,"
Yeah.
'cause it's not on my
Really,
plate.
that's a really good point. I don't even have our landscaper's phone number to the guy who comes to cut our grass. That's a really good point. And one thing that I've also realized that I think is a hot take is I think sometimes, like similarly to you, Megan, my husband has zero flexibility. He's in a season of work where like he's not really available much during the day. I honestly, and I hate to say this, like some of these tasks, like keeping up with school emails, keeping up with the calendar of social events, knowing what's going on when, and it's just come so much easier to me that I think for him to take on some of those tasks would be so hard. It would take him so much longer. And that's okay. And I think similarly to you, I don't mind doing those things. I don't mind being the point person for school. I'm used to it. I actually enjoy it a lot, but I do really love the opportunity to be seen and having that feeling of, wow, I'm validated. Like everybody sees how much I'm doing and they appreciate it. One other thing I wanted to get into is we talked a little bit about delegation strategies, and you, similarly to me, both have boys. And I'm, my son's a little bit older than both of your kids. And we're in the season of really focusing on independence.
Mm.
And for me, part of that and part of this mental load conversation is I want him to see the mental load and for him to know that like he's part of that and he has to show up in a way that is helpful towards our household. And so I would love to talk a little bit more about like the mental load as it relates to your families and like what do your kids see and how do you involve them in some of that? For me, he knows that I fold the laundry, I put it on his bed. He doesn't have to ask. I don't have to tell him. The laundry gets put away. And it's not, I guess it's less that like doing chores and more knowing where you fit in the ecosystem and what you're responsible for and what's in your, like he's got it, he knows it's in his mind.
I love that. And I feel like I do right now. It's so ingrained in my brain of like teach my kids. I'm more of the like, those are chores. They should be responsible for them. And I think we could definitely improve like that language. And I know I've said it, but it's definitely not like a daily talking point of like, we're a team. I mean, we got the kids doing the dishwasher in the morning and that felt like the biggest win. But like just that messaging could definitely be like driven home more about working as a team. This is our home. We all have to work together to make sure we take care of it and take care of our things and our schedule and our life. So, I mean, I love that point. I love that idea. And I think that's a really good way of looking at it. It's not just like, here are your chores, what you need to do for you. It's here's how we all are contributing to our life as
Yeah.
a family.
I have a girl, and
Girl too, yeah.
I know, stereotypically, a lot of this mental load does fall on one partner in a partnership, and oftentimes, as we've mentioned, it's the female in this, and it does weigh on my mind that I have a girl, and there are times where I'm like adjusting my language on including my husband, and we are doing this where sometimes like he may not even be involved, but I'm trying to like include him in the language so that she doesn't see that and internalize that and act like the eldest daughter. She's not the oldest, but like I'm an eldest daughter, like the stereotypes of that. I don't want her to grow up with that generational thing.
Going back a little bit though, but like I'm just thinking about the kids and partnership and mental load and someone owns the yard versus someone owns this. I think when we talk about mental load, it's all just about sharing the weight of being a parent today. And that is what is currently falling heavy on one partner. And I know every household is different, partnership, family, everything, but like if you take any of us, for example, where both partners work full time, and then, okay, so that's equals difficult load, right? And then you have life. Is life together split? Like, where this is the issue. And so, like, split it however you need to. I too love doing certain things, and it's easier for me. And for me, it's not about validation being seen. I am overwhelmed, losing my mind at times. Like, and again, totally seasons, but like some seasons are so busy that I am so overwhelmed and stressed. And my mom, who helps watch the kids, she'll be like, "Hey, what time do they need to be there?" I'm like, I don't even know. Can you check the calendar? I put it in the calendar and it's dead to me. Like I can't call that
Yeah.
right now because I'm
Yeah.
on to the next 7 things. So that's where like I just get so overwhelmed. And so it's like as long as it's balanced, whatever that looks like,
Yeah.
that's what I view as like the most important end goal is split it however you need to, but the load of life, whether that's, going to work and helping pay the bills, or like it's all of that load, because that's a mental load. Like, how are we paying our bills this month? Okay, work isn't going great, or shoot, they're doing layoffs at his company. Like, all of that's the mental load. So it's like, as long as the weight of responsibility of life and child rearing and home management and relationship management is even, whoever does what, like, however, I feel like that's the end goal. Getting there, there's a lot of different ways. Like, I mean, that's like
Yeah.
aligning on goals and vision, and hey, how often do we want to see people and have dates? And, I think that's a lot of upfront conversations about how things should look. Do you guys do that as couples? Like, have those weekly or monthly meetings? Because we
I
don't.
say it all the time. I'm like, we need to have like a standing sort of like meeting.
We we do a Sunday afternoon, actually not afternoon, after the kids go to bed on Sunday nights.
Oh my gosh.
Initially, that was a me thing. I had to get that going, right? Like, I had to know what system are we using to do it, and I had to prompt my husband, like, please tell me when you're working late this week. But after a certain amount of time, it then became less me planning it and more of a habit. And I think that helped too. But we tried to do that Sunday evenings.
Logistically, on a day-to-day level, is there anything you guys find, tips, hacks, software? For me, I went into this last week and add every day off and every half day of school and everything that's on the school calendar to our shared family calendar, which honestly, we started using a shared family calendar when my son went to kindergarten, and it made such a big difference. It's not perfect. I still get asked 60% of the time, what time is pickup today? What after school does he have? And when I'm in that overwhelm season, I like
Yeah.
make fireworks come out sometimes. But I do find like a shared family calendar where everybody can put their stuff in is really helpful. Do you guys have anything you use like that?
Yeah, we use a shared calendar, a Google Calendar. We do that. We also have a skylight calendar, which it's up on our countertop, like right next to my kitchen sink. It is not aesthetic, like it is right there, but that is where we are going to see it all the time. So we can kind of see the week ahead, which is really nice.
We have the skylight, and we have like the original model, and it's not big enough. I wish I could get the big giant one, because that
Yeah.
is a game changer. We really needed it because of childcare. Like, how can we get our childcare to see the schedule and where they need to be? And so having it's all synced to Google, it shows my calendar, Dan's calendar, and then family, which is mainly kids or anything we're all doing together. And that is huge, because if it just lives in your phone, that doesn't help. Like, it puts it front center for the family, and I highly recommend that product.
This is not
Yeah.
sponsored by Skylight.
I go to so many homes, like, and I saw it at my friend's. She has like the big, huge one hanging on their kitchen wall vertically, and I was like, I want the big one. I just don't have anywhere to put it.
Back before we had the skylight, though, we also had one of those like old school big wall calendars, and we did just like put it up and like retrofit it on like one of our cabinets, and that helped too. Yeah, obviously living in a digital world, that saves me.
I did hear one hack. Kathy on our team said that she, and I thought this was really genius, started a joint family email. And she uses that email for school, any activities, any scheduling, anything that has to do with the kids or something that they're planning together. And it just like whoever sees it first takes care of it. And I found that to be really smart.
I love that.
I
I
love
think
that.
that's such a smart idea. I have to be honest and like totally transparent here. Sometimes my brain is like, how does that work if like whoever sees it first takes care of it? Because
You're
my
always
project
going to be the one
manager
to see it
brain,
first.
my project manager brain is like one person should be the manager of a category of things, because then it keeps things smooth, organized. You know what's been taken care of and what still needs to be done. So my mind's like, that idea is genius and I want to do that. But also, how do you make sure things don't fall through the cracks? If you're like, oh, I bet my husband will take care of that.
Yeah.
You see what email is read or unread. If you read it, it's yours. You take care of it. If you opened it,
Yeah.
and
And
the thing I do personally as like a checklist, like I do not, if an email gets read and goes into the vast inbox, it is lost forever. But I
Yeah.
keep it unread, and if it's a task that I need to take care of.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
That's honest. The only part of that overwhelms me is one more inbox, and I'm like, okay, is that filtering into my personal? Like, I'm just thinking about my phone and switching between my work and my personal emails. My personal being a catch-all for life of like everything. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so then am I feeding that one into that one? And it just that part over, I have to figure out that logistically. But another really helpful thing is the shared notes app, Megan, in
Oh, I
particular,
love
like
a shared
Oh,
note.
yeah.
for both to-dos, for home maintenance, for
Our grocery list is on a shared notes app. Oh, I love it.
yeah, and that's really helpful. And you can see when someone's in it or made updates to it.
We use shared notes all the time. Agreed.
Yeah.
I will
We
share this. Before I started working here, and we use Asana very regularly to project manage here at the Everymom Media Group, I did have like family Asana that I tried to implement, and it was such a disaster. I was like, I'm not doing this. Forget it. I'm not bringing project management software into my home.
My husband just did that. It's a different name. I have yet to join it. I think he was trying to do it for like his own stuff he manages. Yeah, right? Like it's one more thing. That's why I'm like the Notes app is easy enough. I'm glad our Google Calendars connect. That's a win for me.
yeah. We have
Um,
a brain dump notes app, and that's where when like that actually is now I'm thinking about that might be a good tip too for other people. But when I think of one random thing, it doesn't have to be categorized. It's a random thought. I put it on there. And so we have like 14 things on there right now, but like I can see stuff that he's thought of too. And if I can take care of it, I can erase it. Like that's
Oh,
actually,
that's amazing teamwork. That's the mental load. Is like it's the thinking about it and the not just like if it is just you making the list all the time for
yeah,
everything, that's the mental load. That's like I can't keep up with all of this. And that's the
yeah,
issue is like your brain can only do so much. And like we need to take care of ourselves. And and when you need help, not just in the sense of like, help me check this off, but like help manage. So, or
yeah.
man,
Help me like know what the list is, right?
yeah.
I don't know that we solved this today, the problem of the mental load, but after this conversation, I feel like one key takeaway for me is sort of this idea of a mindset shift where I would love to give more grace to my partner and my child, to trust them, because sometimes I'm like, I'm the only one who can do this. And genuinely, I am not the only one who can do some of these tasks. So giving up some of that control is something that I would like to try to work. How about you two?
Mine is to pump the brakes. Again, Dan says this to me all the time. He's like, you start the next project before you've even finished the first one. And not to say I won't finish it, but like I don't know why I'm wired that way to just like tackle something. I think it's like a dopamine something about like, and again, there's just like whether it's a trip to plan or a party to plan. Literally, I'm like, let's plan a Halloween party. Why am I talking about that in middle of August? Like that'll be really, but like that's something I don't know. I'm wired that way, and I need to freaking pump the brakes for my own mental health. Life is busy enough as it is with two kids, so like pump the brakes, Elena. We don't need to do all this extra.
That's been my like summer motto. Do less.
Do that.
Do less, pump the brakes. I love it. For me, I just need to always remember my tells. I'm getting overwhelmed, which means it's imbalanced. There is an imbalance. And if there is an imbalance, then something needs to be done and we need to recalibrate. And there's some sort of conversation that needs to happen. So like I think when the scales get tipped and someone feels overwhelmed, going back to that like, hey, we need to balance things out. And also, like, sometimes things don't need to be done the way we expect them to be done. They can just be done and done well by somebody else, not the exact vision we had, but it's done perfectly sufficiently fine. And I need to remember that. It's okay if someone else does it.
Okay, I know we're wrapping up, but genuine question. When you've already set a standard for something, say Christmas, how do you then rein it back when your little kid's heart is like, that's what Christmas entails? And I don't even mean crazy above and beyond. What if all of a sudden you're like, I'm not doing Christmas this year? And then it's like nothing like what the kids are expecting. What about when you've set the standard and then the standard falls?
Our elf was
Yeah.
not doing as many magical things and not leaving him as many notes. And he like just was not doing as much last year. I'm like, the elf is tired. The elf has had a long year.
The elf is
That's
tired.
the point where I was like, I just told my husband, I'm not touching it. If you want to move it, you can move it. And so we really split the elf. So I don't know.
Okay, that's good. But it did kind of take maybe hearing that feedback to maybe help rise to the occasion of like I'm not the only one doing.
I need help in this department because when I've set a standard like something like Elf on the Shelf, I like can't delegate that out. I feel like and that's like I need help there. I have to say disclaimer like Stuff like that is where I would love to pour my energy into. I don't
Right.
feel sucked
Same.
out. Like my soul does not feel
Yeah.
sucked out
That's fun
when
for you.
yeah, it's fun
That's
for
how I
me.
feel
But
about these
like
projects I take on. I'm like, this is actually
right,
giving me life, but also
right.
overwhelming me because of all the other
Because
stuff.
It's both. Yeah.
I have to create an entire scene for the elf because he can't just like move from place to place. The elf is
Yeah.
not leaving me as many notes this year. I'm like, well, get
My
used to it.
husband will be like, You're doing this to yourself right now. Like, I fully support you and let me know how I can help, but like this is a really intense way to start Elf on the Shelf with like footprints all over the house and like a whole house I built for them. Like,
I built him a house one year. Yeah.
what was I doing?
You do go all out. You're very impressive with what you
Yeah.
do.
Thank you guys so much for talking today. This is such an important topic and something we talk a lot about on the Every Mom. I'd love to hear from our readers, from our viewers, if there's a hack, a tip, something you and your family are doing to sort of balance out that mental load, or if you have a mindset shift that it's like something hit with you, we would love to hear from you. Please comment away. And thank you for joining us.
Thanks.